And here's our almost ready compost pile, I hope. What I'm doing is I'm going to take a quick go over my own compost pile after going to the Israel Family Farms compost workshop. Learned a lot of things. I think I'm running a little too dry, too sun exposed with this one. And I'm also going to mix in some kitchen compost, and as well as what I picked up from the Family Farms workshop, this compost accelerator. The scientist in me wants to figure out if this really makes a difference or not, so I'm only going to use it on half of this pile instead of the whole pile so we can compare later. And I'll post some more information about this in a moment. In the meantime, here's our compost pile. I've already spread it out. I'm going to soak it, and then I'm going to mix in, of course, some kitchen compost, break it down, throw in some of this, and go from there. Oh, before I do, the current state of the soil, or compost, try to pick out all the big stuff, and just so you get an up-close look. Nice, soft, earthy, smells like dirt. No funky smell or anything like that. It's not swampy. If anything might be a little too dry, you can see the grass in here still, as well as the particulates. So it hasn't really decomposed all that much, and I think the reason why it's running a little slow for me is it's a little dry. Let's see, can I hold up a little closer? There we go. To that end also, see if I can grab some here. Yeah, and it's warm. Whenever you see the gray-ish, kind of moldy looking portions, honestly I think this is what generates the heat, because these piles tend to be the warmest. Matter of fact, it's pretty warm in my hands right now as I'm holding it compared to the last one. But if you notice, it's kind of gray, and sometimes it might, in some cases, it's definitely been moldier. I used to freak out about that, but now I think it's actually part of the process. It's good to see this, especially early on. Probably not so much towards the end, as we're kind of seeing here. So I'm going to redistribute this a bit, because it looks like it's mostly in the center. And the idea of spreading it around is it'll cause the decomposing to happen faster. So again, let's see, they're grayish, very warm to the touch, and one thing I noticed that when I water, it seems like I'm always overwatering. If you look over there, it's very saturated, but yet when you turn it back in, or in my case putting it back together, it's still very dry. I think a lot has to do with the spongy quality of the material or the medium, and so it soaks up on that first layer, doesn't allow a lot to entrench. So what I'll tend to do if it's really dry, even after that, is I'll water in layers as I weave it back together. So that's how I mix compost piles. On that end, I do have the compost accelerator on that end, and on this end I didn't. I want to see if one side actually decomposes faster than the other. We mixed in some kitchen waste. I didn't mix any green or brown because I don't have any to add at this time. I just added to the new, and generally when it comes towards the end I don't add new material, so that way it finishes. I like to have a finishing batch, and then I have some perpetual batches going. I tend to feed those. Once this is done and ready, then I'll take some of the perpetual, set it off and let it finish, and keep adding to the perpetual. Seems to work for me. One thing I want to add, you see me watering quite a bit. What I've noticed is I'll soak it down thinking, okay, maybe I use a little too much water. When I start putting it back together, no, not really. You always seem to have to add more water. It's easy to under moisturize a compost pile on this scale. When you start talking cubic yards, if it's only a couple of cubic feet, not a big deal. Cubic yards, it seems to take a lot to mix it all in together. I went to the piles because the bins just weren't working. It was too much work raking out of a bin, raking it back in, or shoveling it, or pitchforking it. And the tumbler can only do so much at a time on a smaller scale here. I get quite a bit of lawn clippings between me, my sister, my neighbor, and of course Sheldon's lawn service. And hey, it's less that goes into the green waste and goes off. It doesn't cost anything except effort. I picked up the compost accelerator from the workshop for free. I had the Geo bin that I picked up from the Sac City workshop, and that cost me like 10 bucks, and I think that's the most expensive thing I've had to buy for composting, and I don't even use it. The pile method, as I guess I'll call it, seems to work very well for me. Relatively low maintenance. Let's keep up with no parts and materials outside of rake and a pitchfork. And again, it just seems easier to manage. That may work for some people, it may not work for others. So far it's working for me.